If you're struggling with getting clients, this 3-step strategy that I use to get paid to create group programs before I build a single thing. All really successful coaches, aka the mentors that I hire to coach me, and even their mentors, they all use this strategy. Everything. I think it's one of the easiest things that we can do with the biggest ROI. Most people don't do that. They don't action on it. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to break it down for you today in 3 steps so you can get moving on this today. Hey coach, Xenia Wood here, and this is the Swift Coaches Academy podcast, created for service-based business owners who are ambitious enough to break free from the forever hustle and create scalable businesses that truly make an impact while also giving us freedom. With more than a decade of experience, we're not here to waste your time on theory. Instead, just sharing what works and what doesn't to help you get clear as fuck on your next move and show you exactly how to implement the systems and strategies that you need to scale with confidence. Hey coach, back with another episode today, and personal update before I dive in, as always, is the fact that I went to Thailand for 2 weeks for a business retreat. And then, of course, if you're going to Thailand, you're not going to, well, in my head, I wouldn't go to Thailand for 4 days just for a business retreat, just to come home. I'm absolutely tacking on a holiday to that. And I'm so grateful that I have built a life where I can just say yes to those things and just do that. And my business runs without me having to be in it every single day. I barely touched my laptop. I checked my finances once, I think, while I was gone, made sure everything else was set up on autopilot. And I think per week we brought in just under, I think it was like 9K the first week and then about 15K the second week. So what's that? I made 24 grand while being in Thailand, which is pretty fucking cool. But Thailand was amazing, FYI. And my favorite thing was just like a huge fucking pinch me moment. I got to like bathe with, well, I wasn't really bathing, but bathe with elephants and like help shower them and like rub mud all over them and like give them hugs, and it was crazy. And I did this in a place that is like an ethical based elephant sanctuary. I know that riding them is not okay, and definitely not like circus performing and things like that. Some people say that also touching them is not okay. However, this place had taken elephants who'd only ever lived in captivity, and they were looking after them. So kind of like if you think domestic cats versus wild cats, like the domestic cats, like my cat Yoshi, oh my God, she would never survive in the wild, right? Like she needs us to feed her and, help her out. So these are like domestic elephants, I guess you could call it, but they have like this huge, like acres and acres to be able to roam around, and they just come back for food and for people to enjoy their presence, which was so fucking cool. But the thing I really wanted to talk about with my personal update was how the environment that you're in shapes everything, right? And this was brought up a couple times for me because I think it's one of the easiest things that we can do with the biggest ROI. So if you're struggling with your mindset, if you're struggling with getting clients, if you're just wanting to perform better in the gym, finding an environment where what you want is already normalized and people are just doing that generally without not without thinking about it, but like that is their standard or their normal, you will rise to the occasion by being in those circles. And this was reinforced to me while I was in Thailand because I was speaking to this guy and he was saying, like I want to quit smoking, like smoking cigarettes. And it was just such a big thing over in Thailand. So many people were smoking, and I think it's pretty huge in Europe as well, right? But in Australia, we know that it's not like that at all here. And you're almost kind of like shunned or pushed over into the corner. Like there's only very, very small smoking zones for people in Australia. So it's like I said to him, I was like, well, if you want to move to Australia, it would be so easy for you to quit because you're almost like in a way ostracized from some social circles, right? Because people are like, oh, that's not really the vibe or what we do here. And we have so many laws about where you can smoke, packaging, all those sorts of things, right? So for him, changing his environment would have been such an easy way to change that habit that he had that he wanted to improve on, right? Obviously, moving to Australia, not that easy necessarily, but it would be really easy to change the behavior by changing the environment. Another example of this is me joining a new gym recently. And when I was there, I was, like for me, it's normalized that, yeah, I just do podcasts and film them every week and run a couple businesses. And like that doesn't feel abnormal to me because of the circles that I'm in. But I was mentioning to a guy at the gym this morning. He was like, oh, you got a busy day today. I was like, oh, no, not really. Like, work for myself, recording a couple podcasts. And he was like blown away by the fact that, like, what do you mean? Like, you're like, that's so cool. And it was lovely in a way to be like, oh, and help me like see that perspective of like, that's not normal for most people. But because I've normalized it in my circles, it's almost created that expectation in a good, healthy way that like the same expectation as if you join a gym. It's like the expectation is you rock up X number of times a week, you put in, the effort, those sorts of things. So to summarize, I think the purpose of that update is if you are struggling or just want to be better, perform better, get better results, find and force yourself to be in, even if you have to pay for these environments or groups or containers or whatever they are, to be around people and surround yourself with people who are doing the thing that you want to be doing so that you are forced to stretch and rise to the occasion. Speaking of which, today's topic is about coaches who are thinking about creating a group program, because I quote unquote thought about it for about 6 years before I pulled the trigger on this. And when I did, I was like, why the fuck did I not do this sooner, right? Like I went from working full-time, face-to-face, one-on-one in the gym, earning 115 grand a year, which is like pretty decent. But then when I did this switch and I created group programs, in under 2 years, I went from 115K a year to $511,000 in a year. Now, I know there are some skeptics there who are going to be like, bullshit, prove it. So if you are a healthy skeptic, or any sort of skeptic, then I'm going to chuck some receipts and proof of my like screenshots of my profit and loss from my Xero files to prove that I did this, because I think it's important to have a healthy amount of skepticism and not just go off people who claim big numbers on the internet, right? So have a look in the show notes for those if you want to check. And then we can move into this 3-step strategy that I use to get paid to create group programs before I build a single thing. Now, I kind of stumbled upon this strategy about 5 years ago, and I've seen time and time and time again that all really successful coaches, aka the mentors that I hire to coach me, and even their mentors, right? They all use this strategy. It's not, I'm going to label it, and they wouldn't necessarily label it the same as me, but they're doing the same thing. I'm going to break it down for you. It's 3 steps to help you to make sure that whatever you're creating is actually going to land. People actually want it, and not just like say they want it, but actually show you and prove to you they want it before you go and create it. Okay. So if you've thought about creating a group program, you probably already know the reasons why it's incredible. Obviously, for me to get from 115K to 511K in under 2 years is fucking crazy. And I didn't even think that that was a thing that was possible until I did it. And, why wouldn't you want one? You get, more time back, you get more freedom back. You can maybe come travel with me to Thailand next time I go and play with elephants. But in a serious note, I think that being on the gym floor or coaching one-to-one for the rest of your life, day after day, hour after hour, is a recipe for disaster. I don't necessarily vibe with the term burnout personally, but I do know people who've genuinely gotten there. And then for the other people, maybe it's not burnout, but maybe you're just feeling a little less fulfilled than you used to be doing the things that you're doing. Yeah, because it's maybe not pushing or stretching you anymore, or, you're seeing the same people all the time, or you know that there's more for you, right? If you're thinking about a group program, then you better believe that you are a leader, that you are someone who is a trailblazer, that you are pushing the boundaries, even just thinking about creating a group offer, because most people don't do that. Most people, it's a pipe dream, but they don't action on it. So I'm going to help you if you're stuck in that, like, oh, I'd love to, but I've put 17 different walls and barriers in front of me to be able to get to the point where I just can even launch this. I'm going to break it down for you today in 3 steps so you can get moving on this today. Cool? So, the first thing that we need to, I guess, tick off are some myths. And I want to start with the fact that if you build your group program before you validate it and get people to actually say, yes, I want this and put money down, or at least put their hand up and say, yes, please, that is the slowest and riskiest way to grow your business. Yeah. Because if I did that back in the day, it took me 26 weeks to create the Exercise Education Academy program that I've created that is now fully hands off and like so fucking thorough. There's lectures, tutorials, and pracs for every single lesson. And there are 24 modules inside this program. Yeah. It took me 26 weeks to create. So every single week for about 20 hours, I was creating this thing. If I had done that before I ever sold it, to be honest, that's what held me back for the 6 years prior. And perhaps I did stumble across this strategy, or perhaps I just got so fucking sick of my excuses and I knew that the current system wasn't working for me. And I know that what works for me and most other coaches is that you will do the things required for the people who are paying you money. Yeah. You will make sure that your programs for your clients are ready before the fucking session happens. Yeah. Because if you rock up to a session that someone's paid for and you don't have a program, then you better be fucking reimbursing them for that session. Yeah. Because you have an obligation, because people have paid you and said, this needs to be ready because these are the results I want. And so you may leave it till the last minute, but you will fucking get it done. Yeah. So I took that same approach with creating a group program, and I was like, how can I force myself into action? Because thinking about it, wishing it, wanting to do it clearly hadn't been working for me. And maybe this is the same for you. So if you want to go slowly, or potentially not go at all, or potentially have this beautiful program that no one ever buys, then go and create it first. But I'd argue that that's probably not the way that you want to go. And so instead, we need to do a different way. Cool? The other thing in terms of like a myth, or I guess like a fear that a lot of coaches have, is they're going to go and create this program and then no one buys. Yeah. The strategy I'm going to teach you today is going to remove the fear completely, because we're going to get people to pay you first. Then you go and create it. Yeah. And then the third thing I want to talk about before I dive into the strategy is the mindset piece to this. Yeah. Because so many people think they need a finished program, or they need to know exactly what's included or all the things to be able to sell it. I'm living, breathing proof that you absolutely don't need to do that. And every single time I've created a program, I've used the exact strategy that I teach. And it is a powerful, powerful shift when you recognize that you don't have to have it all figured out or all completed before you go and create it. And I think you would understand this if you are a coach and you know that you say yes to taking on clients who have conditions, or a multitude of conditions or goals or whatever it is that you've never seen before. Never this combination, right? Like you might have worked with a woman who's pregnant. You might have also worked with someone who has high blood pressure, and you might have worked with someone who's got some sort of hip tendinopathy going on. But have you worked with someone who has all three and trying to create a specific program for that person before? Maybe not, right? But you don't create the entire program for that person and then go, hey, do we have any mothers or mothers to be who have hip pain who do this? Because I've got the perfect program for you. Yeah. What we do is we find those people, or those people come to us, and then we go, I know how to do this, and I will figure it out along the way, and I will adjust according to how your body responds, and I will create the program as we go. Yeah, you're not going to create a 12-month program for anyone for a specific outcome, because people respond differently, because they might need something different. Yeah. So same vein goes for a group program. You don't need to have it all done down to the letter. Although, yes, you're typically going for a common goal, there's going to be nuances and changes and things that can happen along the way. So we're going to have like a skeleton, and then we're going to sell it, and then we're going to create it. So that's effectively the preset process, but I'm going to talk you through it and each step individually. So I have previously called this MSC, or today we're going to talk about VSC. So the M or the V is market or validate. I like the word validate better because you want to validate your offer. You want to validate with your audience that people actually want this. So this is basically research in the form of getting people to raise their hand and say, yes, I want it. So what this looks like is this could be someone saying, yes, I want this offer, from you posting a story on Instagram and saying, comment the word blah, or DM me the word blah. And if you get enough people who DM me that word, then that is moving towards confirmation that people want this. Yeah. You could also do a poll. You could also post in Facebook groups. You could also go around physically to members at a gym, or, your email list. There's so many different ways that you could ask people, would they be interested in this? You're not at this point yet asking them to purchase, but you're just saying, hey, I'm seeing that people are wanting this. Would you want it? Okay. And so you're basically validating that offer, because if you hear crickets, don't create the program. Yeah. Because often we create things that we want, or we think that, or we wanted back maybe 3-5 years ago, or that we think people want. But what we think they want and what they will actually pay for are not always the same thing. And it's really important to get your audience, your ideal clients, to tell you that. Yeah. So you can ask your current clients as well. Really simple strategy. Yeah. Because your current clients are going to be people who will likely pay you more and pay you more frequently. Okay. So they might pay you again or for something different. So if you're on a new offer or a new group program, you can sort of soft launch it or like test the waters with them as well. So step one, market and or validate the offer with these little micro conversations, these polls, these blasts in different groups who have that exact target demographic. Let's say that you work specifically with mums. Is there a mums group on Facebook? And you say, hey, would you be interested in something like this? Think you're putting a group together, right? You're not saying like pay me money. You're just saying who would be interested. And you want to see if there is enough interest for you to then go and create it. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 if you're playing Monopoly in this strategy until you get this piece right. Because if you go to validate something, and to be fair, you do have to do this to a lot of people. You do have to keep talking about it, the benefits. This is not a one and done, like, oh, well, I put a poll up and I commented in one Facebook group and I spoke to 3 of my clients and no one said anything positive about it. Like, you have to post this to a lot of people and get a lot of volume to get this out. But it doesn't have to be your audience. It can be other people's audiences, like in the scenario of Facebook groups or gym members or other people that you know. Yeah. You don't have to have a big audience to do that, but you do need to gather data, and you may want more qualitative data. So higher quality, as in you might only need a few select people to say yes, because maybe this group program only needs 4 people in it for it to be viable for you, right? You don't need 400 people in it. But I think that you'll know when you get signals from the market. People say, yes, how do I get it? But you do need to make sure that you're speaking about the outcome that people are getting when you are validating your offer. And that comes into marketing the offer to try and validate it. Okay, so that is step 1. Step 2 is sell it. Sell it first using foundation spots, beta rounds, first intakes, whatever you want to call it, early bird pricing, doing a live version of something that might be passive or might be evergreen or ongoing, do it yourself at your own pace later so that you can get feedback. So this is where you do start to sell. So you've got that marketing noise or people saying like, yes, or I'm interested, or tell me more, or whatever it is, then you sell it. Yeah, that's when you either get people on sales calls or in the DMs or on phone calls, whatever it is, bring them into the gym, like whatever your process is for getting people to sign up, you want to do that. Yeah, so people who say they're interested, you say, awesome, let's jump on a quick call, have a chat about it. Yeah. When you are selling the outcome through your specific system. Yeah, we're not selling, I have 17 modules and I have 7 group calls and I have this. And people may want to know some specifics in terms of date and times if they need to be available, but you do not need to have the exact whole thing built out. You do need a skeleton structure of the basics of what's included, the outcome that they're going to get in the time frame that they're going to get it, and probably looking at the irresistible framework of the 6 keys to an irresistible offer. So I've had other episodes on that you can have a look at, but realistically, we're looking at guarantees, scarcity, urgency, likelihood to achieve the dream outcome. What are the other ones? There is reduced time, effort, or sacrifice. Those are going to be the predominant things that you need to create this offer to make it irresistible. So understanding like the basics of that, which should take you 10, 15 minutes. Our students have a specific AI bot, which is a chat GPT bot that is me that helps them craft their offer, which is pretty cool, which we are selling. If you want that, I'll chuck a link to that in the show notes below as well. But basically you want to validate this offer, then you want to sell it and make sure that you're selling the dream. Yeah, you're not selling the plane, as I talk about it with our students. Like no one wants to sit on a plane for 9 hours, right? But a lot of people do want to go to Bali. Yeah, you're not selling, oh, this plane and the seats and you have only 3 centimeters of leg room, and you're not selling that. You're selling, you get to go to another country, you get to go on holiday, you get to have some cheeky, spicy mugs, whatever it is. Yeah. So remember what you're selling. Your clients don't want coaching. They want results. Yeah. So stop selling coaching, start selling outcomes. So we're going to sell it and we're going to get people to pay us to when we sell it. Yeah. So could be a deposit, could be the full amount, but you are going to get people to put money down, and then you will start the course or the group thing between probably like 2 and 4 weeks after you've taken the deposits or the payments for these people. Yeah. So these are not people who have just put their hand up and said, oh, I'm interested. These are people who have put their money where their mouth is. And that is what we want to test. If you get to this part and you haven't sold it, guess what? You also haven't spent the 6 months that I did after I validated and sold it to create it. Yeah, but you haven't done that first without knowing whether anyone's going to buy it. And I would hate for you to spend 6 months of your life creating something that no one buys. And then you have this beautiful program that is the world's best kept secret and also perhaps doesn't even align with what your ideal clients actually want. It's what you think they want, but it's not what they want. Yeah. Or you haven't sold it well enough. Yeah. So if you're getting signals from the market and you're not selling, it's probably a sales problem. If you're not getting signals from the market, either people don't want it or it's potentially your messaging and how you're talking about it. So I would talk about it in different ways a lot of times to make sure we really validate this offer. But this doesn't have to be over a months and months long period. This can be a couple of weeks, but really going hard in that marketing or validating section. And then booking calls to sell it. And then step 3 is create it. Now, I recommend that you're at least 2 weeks ahead at all times in whatever you're creating. If there's modules, if there's downloads, if there's programs that you need to write, whatever is other resources that you need to have for people in a group program, I would recommend staying 2 weeks ahead. The reason being is because I remember it was about week 15, I think, in the very first intake of the Exercise Education Academy, and I had, gosh, I don't remember how many people signed up, but I know that our total sales was $61,900 for that first intake in April of 2021. And at week 15, I got gastro. And I was only like 1 week ahead, like going by the skin of my teeth. This is why I needed to sell it before I built it, because I wasn't going to build it if I didn't have a big enough reason to do it other than just, I want to do this thing. Like I needed to have people relying on me through having paid me money for it. And I ended up having to delay and push back the course a whole week for everyone involved because I had gastro. I had some beautiful fucking clients and no one was like worried about this. And it wasn't like we had this super strict timeline or budget, or not budget, just timeline on getting to the outcome, which was helpful. But even so, like, people understand that you get sick. But I'd recommend staying at least 2 weeks ahead with the content that you're creating. That way you can start to see and hear the feedback from students to adjust it if need be. So you're not 8 weeks ahead and then people really hate the strokes that you've done and you can't change it now. But it is enough ahead so that if you get gastro or anything else happens in your life, you want to take a week off, God forbid, then you can, because you've given yourself just that enough amount of time of buffer. Yeah. So I've done this every single time I've created a group offer. The very first time I did it, I think is important to talk about because it was scrappy. It was rough. There wasn't a lot of, I don't even think I had like a Word document to like show people what was included at this time. I was just talking to them on sales calls. Yeah. And having done a lot of sales before, and knowing what I was talking about, knowing what was involved, I think I had like some dot points or something. But I ended up getting a lot of signals from the market when I said, hey, who would want this? And I had a lot of people this was business coaching. I had a lot of people who were asking me for coffees to pick my brain about how my business was going. So I was getting lots of signals from different people in the market saying, I want your help with this. And then I realized that those coffee dates turned into people not taking action because we know that we pay more attention when we pay. Yep. So I ended up having 20 people sign up to my business coaching program, the first ever version in 2020. And I sold it for $60 a week per person for a 6-month group program. And it was literally one Zoom call an hour. That was what I was pitching effectively. Like, I will give you everything I have, all the secrets, exactly how I've got there. You'll have a community, you'll have accountability, like we'll riff on it. I'll make sure and I'll review anything and everything you have. And that was my first offer. And 20 people said yes. And I was only hoping for 10 people for one group, but we had to create 2 groups because there was so much demand for it. And so it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this huge, big thing. You don't have to have all these modules and lectures and videos and blah. Like, people just want results. Yeah. And if you can get them the results, they'd probably prefer it to not have to take extra time or have to watch all these modules and videos. They want to know the information they need to get to the outcome that they want. Yeah. The next thing that I will say is a lot of coaches who I speak to are like, but what if it's not perfect? Or like they have these perfectionistic tendencies. I'm a recovering perfectionist as well. And they're so nervous that like, what if, my clients don't like it or people get in the program and it's not like as polished? And my answer to that is really simple. It's just tell your clients it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be polished. Yeah. Like, just be honest with them. Just say, hey, this is the first time I've done this. That's why it's cheaper pricing. And I want your feedback on this, but you'll get it for, this discounted rate, or, I'm going to do my best to make sure that you get fucking everything that you need, everything that I promised you. And this is the first round. And it's okay. People who jump into things that are new or a first round, they're not expecting perfection. They're not expecting polish. They're not expecting you to spend $1,000 in a studio to record something, right? The people who purchased the very first iPhone were not expecting the iPhone 15. They were expecting a cool gadget that could make some phone calls. Yeah? And so just remember, you can't compare the iPhone 1 with the iPhone 14, really. Like, I mean, you actually can, but what I'm trying to say is, like, don't compare someone else's iPhone 14 to your iPhone 1. Yeah? If you've never created a group program before, people know that. And it's okay, because we all have to fucking start there. And I did too, 6 years ago. Yeah? And now people expect more of me. And it's actually better being new in this, because people have pretty high expectations of me inside our group coaching programs because of the results I get, because of how long I've been doing this for. But with you, if this is a new thing for you, they're not really expecting much. And so if you give them anything, they're probably fucking stoked. So the moral of the story here is that if you're sitting on an idea for a group program, don't keep waiting on it. Because how long have you already been waiting? Maybe 6 years like I had? Hopefully not. But like, if you keep kicking the can down the road, eventually the can's not even going to fucking exist anymore. And you're not going to be able to create that because maybe you're so stressed that you just fucking change careers. And I've seen that happen. Or maybe it just becomes something that now the market doesn't actually want that anymore because AI has replaced whatever you were doing, right? Take the idea, go and validate it, sell it, and then when you get enough people purchasing, you can build it. Hopefully this has helped you today to light a fire in your belly, to take action on the group program that you've been fucking sitting on and you wish you had this strategy sooner, because I promise you, this will give you all of the validation and the confidence to go and create it and spend all that hard-earned time to actually build the infrastructure for it, because you are getting paid up front. So go build that group program or group offer and move swiftly. Hey, coach, before you go, the reason I do this every single week and the reason we've been able to surpass 100 episodes is because of you. So thank you. We're on a mission towards never seeing another coach leave the industry because they didn't have the skills or the confidence to scale. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that before you forget. I read every single one of the comments and share as many as I can. So if you found this episode valuable, sharing it with a friend who might be able to benefit from hearing it would honestly mean so much to me. Until next time, and in whatever you do, move swiftly.